My name is Josh, and I write about cycling and technology. You'll see my name on Cycling News, Cycling Weekly, T3.com, Cycle Tech Review, and this time I'm really excited to be working with eBicycles.com. Today what I'm going to talk about is the Himiway all-terrain electric step-through bike. The marketing for this bike is that it's a 750 watt electric fat bike. It is pedal assist. There is also a throttle, but it's not just a motorcycle. It's not like that at all. It is a pedal assist bike. And I think, I grew up on in a rural community, and I could see a lot of uses in that situation. Most farmers have a four-wheeler that they drive, all over the farm. And I think something like the Himiway could work well there. There's really no reason that it wouldn't. And it would be a lot cheaper. I actually think that would be a great use. And the Himiway marketing, some of it shows it being used for hunting. I do think that you could use it for that as well. But I think really, I could be showing my more city roots at this point. But I feel like the market for this really is going to be urban commuters. And while you could use it for those, farming and for hunting, and I feel like those are a little bit more niche. It certainly will work for sand or snow or dirt roads of any kind. It's really too big to be useful for something like any kind of like single track, something that's kind of tight. But if you want to take it on the sand or snow, it would work just fine for that, just like any other fat bike. The big challenge, I think, is going to be that the thing weighs a lot and it's big, and getting it on a rack is going to require the right rack and the right setup, and so you may run into some challenges there. But so I think for what I think it's really good as is going to be to think of it like an SUV. It's gonna be in the city, but it's gonna be a really good commuter. Okay, so now let's get into the details a little bit. The first place to start is probably the electric part of it. And what this is a 750 watt motor. It's in the rear hub. So some bikes still have them more in the center of the bike. This is in the rear hub. And then it is a 48 volt Samsung lithium-ion battery. It is removable, and you can charge it. The charger goes directly into the battery, so it doesn't matter if you charge it on the bike or off the bike. There is a key that allows you to remove the battery from the bike. In this step-through design, it's really tight in there, so you're just going to slide out to the side. And I will tell you, if you are, if you own this bike and you're new to it, be aware that you should be ready to catch the battery when you unlock it, because it sort of pops out. There is also a button to show you how much charge is in it, but on the in this step-through frame, you really can't get your finger in there to be able to see. To press the button to see how much charge is on it. The range is 35 to 60 miles. That's going to depend, how much assist you're using, how much you're pedaling, even with the assist, and sort of how many hills and how much weight. And there's a lot of variables. And I usually tell people not to pay so much attention to what the quoted range is, just because I don't know that it's going to be perfectly accurate. It's going to be different to every person. Look more at, what this is a 750 watt system, a 48 volt battery, and then there are 5 levels of assist, and that's adjustable. There's a little, there are buttons to change that all up and decide how much your level of assist is going to be helping you. The recommended capacity for towing, overall weight is around 350 pounds. If you want to load up the rear rack or load up get yourself a front rack and load that up as well, there's certainly plenty of capacity. In terms of the traditional bike part of it and the drivetrain there, and all the pieces of that. I'm not going to get too much into like the nitty-gritty. This is at the lower end of what you can expect to pay for really any reasonable bike, and certainly any electric bike. So, I mean, you're not getting the top of the line stuff, but everything here is entirely usable. You've got an aluminum frame with, nice paint and good welds. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, this is, a problem. Everything looks good to me. There is a pass-through, step through and a non-step through, and there's really no difference to the system other than how low that top tube is. And I think for most people you're going to want to go to the step through design. While it is technically, I guess, stiffer with the straight top tube, I can't imagine that you're really going to be in a situation where you need the absolute most stiffness out of this bike. And so, yeah, go with the step through, because that's going to be the most comfortable to get it on and off. With the 4-inch wide tires, especially when they're pumped up, this thing is big, and so even just getting on and off, it's going to be a lot easier with the step through the design. They do call it out as being workable for anyone from 5'3" to 6'4". I think, as with anything where the range is pretty big, I feel like someone that's 5'3" is gonna this bike will be challenging to them. But you can put the seat way down, and like I said, with the pass-through, with that dropped top tube, I mean, it's entirely workable. The shifting is handled by a 7-speed Shimano system. The gearing range is 14 to 28 tooth. So, with the electric assist system and the weight of this bike, you're not really, it's a little different than what I might talk about on a regular bike and gearing. But what's important to know is that if you want to get started without the electric assist, then, having it in the easiest gear that's available, it's going to let you do that. Even with the weight of the bike and without the electric assist, it's entirely fine. And once you get up to speed and you are pedaling and the electric assist is doing its thing, if you want to put it into one of the harder gears, there's gearing there to handle that for you. And you can go down a hill and, turn the pedals and have things work, sort of the way that you would expect a bike to work. In terms of the brakes, they are cable pull disc brakes. And while disc brakes are better than non-disc brakes, cable pull disc brakes are pretty awful. They just are they always rub. For this price range, that is absolutely, what you can expect. You're not going to get hydraulic disc brakes at this price range. And the brakes work. At no point when you're riding this do you feel like, oh my God, I can't stop. It's totally fine. There is plenty of stopping power. There's 180 mil rotors, and the brake levers are super comfortable, and there's plenty of stopping power here. There's no, so while the pads might rub a little bit and it's slightly annoying to get them adjusted, it's not an actual problem. So now let's talk about what it's like to ride this bike. There are different assist levels. There is also a half twist throttle. When you first start with this bike, the very first couple of pedals, it really kind of pulls you forward. It wants you to be, its minimum sort of speed is around 10.5 miles an hour, somewhere right around there. Under that, the electric assist, it just doesn't have a setup where it can help you, have the electric assist on, but be going at a speed slower than that. So when you get on the bike and you start pedaling, right away it kind of just it pulls you up to 10.5 miles an hour, and it feels a little disconcerting at first. That said, once you're up to 10.5 miles an hour, which is not particularly fast on a bike, Once you are up to that speed, it is super smooth, and I have never, in riding it, I never felt like, it didn't feel jerky as you pedaled, or you didn't as you go up and down hills. It's got plenty of power. It doesn't jerk you. It feels very smooth, other than that initial 10.5 miles an hour sort of pull. And along with that, if you're trying to ride with a kiddo, it can be a little challenging to keep it that low, to keep it really slow. But once you are moving, you can actually pedal this thing without the pedal assist. As with any bike, the weight is there in the beginning when you're not really moving. But once you start moving, there's plenty. It feels balanced and it feels natural. And yes, it's heavy, but it's not. It's really not a big deal. And usually with a bike, you're going to say, "Oh, well, the climbing is hard, the heavier that it is." However, with an electric assist bike, that really doesn't matter, because there's plenty of power with this, and as you start to climb, just turn up the assist or help it, or you have a bunch of different options. But the main thing about it is that under 10.5 miles per hour, it's a little bit challenging. And when we first get on it, it sort of pulls you forward and it feels a little weird. But once you get the hang of it, it's just super smooth, and it's really fun to ride, I will say. And those nice big tires feel, they're not super loud, even though they have tons of grip. They are not, they're super cushy, so it just feels really natural, and you're sitting very upright. You're sitting, pretty much your spine is straight, or as straight as you want to make it. And so it's just really comfortable. The hand grips are really comfortable. The saddles are really comfortable. Everything. It's a lot of fun to ride. And I guess if I'm gonna sum it up, and you're gonna go like, okay, should I buy this? Absolutely. If you want, but here's the scenario. This is the things that I would think about. Are you going to need to carry this thing? Because if you're going to need to carry it, it's tough. There is a handle behind the seat, which helps a lot, but it's a heavy bike, and so if you're going to need to carry it, it's going to be challenging. And if you are going to need to transport it a bunch, you're going to want to think about that a little bit.